Hi, class. I got an email asking me to clarify some of the expectations for the creating a character assignment and for the Freytex pyramid assignment. So I wanted to just give you a little bit more information in case you need it to help you complete the assignment that's due, the two assignments that are due Wednesday night. So one of the things I want to remind you of is that if you haven't chosen a topic for your multi-genre writing final project yet, that's what you have to do first. So remember, your topic could be anything you want. You're just going to build a story out of it. So you could write about the Jonas Brothers. So you could write about a fictional story of a hockey player. It can be anything. It could just be a story about a child who has been adopted, or any number of things. Anything you want to write about, anything you feel compelled to write about. So once you've selected your topic, that's when you move into the creating a character assignment. So what I've done is I've just sort of modeled off the top of my head a character, and I've answered some questions about my character to help you get an idea of what you need to be doing when you are completing this assignment. So as you know, it's an assignment that has 34 questions about the character, and I said you had to make sure you pick a majority of them. I believe I said you had to pick 30. So what you're going to do is take a look at the questions and try to think about what your main character of your story is like. Now, this is going to be real easy to do if the main character is you and this is a story about your life. Just remember, if you decide to do a story about your life, you are going to be sharing with other people in the class, so it's not going to be entirely private between me and you. So I was just thinking, all right, if I'm a female, maybe I want to try and write about a boy instead of, relating it directly to my life. So I decided to come up with a story based on a 17-year-old male high school student. And here are just some answers I created off the top of my head as I was thinking about my character. So I gave my character a name, Jeffrey Johnson. He's 17 years old. He's 5'9" with brown curly hair. He wears a t-shirt, jeans, and a hoodie every day. And this is because he's shy and he's always worried about how his hair looks. So he often is putting his hood up. And as far as his voice goes, just by looking at question number 6, which says, how does his or her voice sound like? What does it sound like? And does the person have an accent? That's when, boom, I realized the conflict of my story is going to have to do with his Southern accent. So he's from Tennessee and he has a bit of a Southern drawl, but he tries to hide it since he lives in Connecticut. So now I've come up with my conflict. So the idea of this creating the character assignment is going to help you really think about who your character might be, and it also will help you come up with your Freytex pyramid for your story. So you're going to answer as many questions as you can about that character, and I think, like I said, I asked you to answer 30 out of 34 or like 28 or 30 out of 34, whatever I wrote on the sheet itself. And I want you to really push yourself to get out of your comfort zone and start thinking about this character in a really sophisticated way, and brainstorm as best you can, because it'll help you later. So once you've completed that, you have your main character. Now you kind of have an idea of what your story is going to look like. So once I came up with those sample answers, I wrote this in the explanation. See how my character is starting to be developed through my answers? You start to get a picture of the main character that helps you develop your conflict. So once you're ready to move on to the Freytex pyramid, and after you've looked at the document explaining the Freytex pyramid, so if you haven't done that, pause this video now and go back and look at the steps of the Freytex pyramid. You're going to want to start identifying those elements of the Freytex pyramid in your story. So remember, you want to keep your story simple, with one simple conflict, one simple climax, so that you don't bite off more than you can chew. Sorry, my brother's calling me, real life. Okay, so he lives in California. All right, so the exposition of my story that I've just come up with is Jeffrey Johnson. He's 17 and he lives in Connecticut, so that's the character and the setting, so that's what I wrote down. So now I'm thinking about the conflict. The conflict is that he's bullied for his accent. So he tries to hide it from people, and he's embarrassed about his accent, especially since he feels like he's all alone in Connecticut with this Southern accent. So I mentioned that it might be a good idea next to think about the climax of your story before you write down what the rising action is going to be. This is because the rising action is leading you up to the climax of the story. So The climax in this story is Jeffrey meets Alana, who's from Kansas, and she has a very thick Southern accent, and they become fast friends. They're both in the same English class. So now I can come up with my rising action. So the rising action that comes before the climax is that Jeffrey is constantly made fun of during his English class by Jade and Tom. He eventually stops going to school because he's lonely and hates being bullied, and his parents do not understand why he's acting so distant from them. So I suggest you come up with 2 to 3 events in the rising action, no more than that. If it takes more than 3 events to get to your climax, then you've created a story that's far too complicated for this assignment. So then I want you to think about the resolution of your story before you do the falling action, for the same reason why you'd come up with your climax before the rising action. So the falling action of my story that I just created is that Alana and Jeffrey have to do a presentation in English about their hometown. The other kids in the class start asking questions, and soon Alana and Jeffrey are the cool kids in class. Jade and Tom are silenced by their classmates, and Alana and Jeffrey later decide to go to prom together. And the resolution is that they are voted prom king and queen, and they beat Jade and Tom in that running for prom king and queen. So the denouement after that, which may not be something that you have in your story, but for me, you kind of want to know what happens to Alana and Jeffrey later. So later they go their separate ways at college. They still remain friends, and they go to schools in their home states. So Jeffrey goes to the University of Tennessee, and Alana goes to the University of Kansas, and they keep in touch, and it turns out that their new college friends are happy to learn about their experiences about going to school in Connecticut because all their college friends have Southern accents, so it's kind of like a happy ending. So that's a story that I came up with, off the cuff pretty quickly. Hopefully you will have a topic that you can easily come up with the same type of detailed story. If you're struggling with coming up with a topic and you've done the topic brainstorm sheet, schedule a Zoom with me so we can talk about it. Okay? Good luck, and email me with any questions. Thanks.